holiday weekend, we'll have a mixture of hazy sunshine and clouds. It'll be hot and humid, highs this afternoon around 90. Feeling a bit warmer with the humidity and maybe a pop-up shower or storm, especially towards evening. Those showers or storms die down early this evening, then it's partly cloudy and muggy, low 65 to 70. Tomorrow is fairly similar, but that chance for a shower or storm is slightly higher at about 30%. Then Memorial Day Monday, mostly cloudy, showers and thunderstorms are likely, with a high around 80. In the WTVQ Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ken Elliott.
WTVQ. Ain't I got you on the back foot, and you know I got you really good.
Good morning, everybody, and happy almost Memorial Day. I'm Katie Krahulik, and you're listening to Leading Ladies, a women's talk show that features relatable, intelligent, compassionate, powerful, productive women of the 21st century. With me in the studio today, I have Erin Shanahan, who will be my co-host. Welcome, Erin.
Hey, Katie. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. This coming fall, I'm going to be a junior at Fordham University. I'm a psychology major, but I spend most of my time working for the school newspaper, the Fordham Ram. I'm the news editor there. And I also spend a lot of my time working as an RA, a resident assistant for Fordham University Res Life.
That's great. Sounds like you've got a lot going for you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Erin, for helping out. In honor of Memorial Day, we have two very relevant guests, and on the phone we have today's first guest, Sakima Brown. Hello, Mrs. Brown. How are you?
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming and speaking to us today.
Oh, absolutely. It's an honor. Thank you.
Could you tell us a little bit about the work you're doing?
Sure. So currently I am community outreach for New York State Senate, which includes going to different places and representing the senator, as well as ensuring, that she's involved in the community and whatever activities are going on in and about the 41st District, which includes all of Dutchess County and half of Putnam County.
Wow, that's awesome. And so you're doing that right now. I know you've done a little bit of engineering work. Are you doing anything with that currently?
No, not currently. Just a little background about myself. Let's see. I graduated from West Point in 98, a little while ago. And from there, I was in the military for 7 years. After that, I spent a year in Iraq and a year in Guatemala doing humanitarian relief. I came back. I served as, after I got out of the military, I served as a plant manager or store manager for Home Depot and plant manager for Suburban Energy Services. And then I've been a family advocate for a school district. And in between, I've just been doing a lot of community work, whether it be volunteering I sit on the board for the Mental Health of America, as well as some other local boards. I served on the Poughkeepsie City School District School Board for about 3 years. During that time, I served as president. I am a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, their first female commander in their 75-year history. So I've been a little busy in the community,
Wow,
as
absolutely.
well as, my activities at work.
Wow. Sakima, when did you come back from deployment? What year?
Oh, I've been back a while. I came back in 2005.
That's still crazy how much you've done in that time period to
Right.
now. Like, I can't believe how detailed your resume is. It's amazing. I'm looking at it right now.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's so impressive, especially because you managed to do, a wide variety of different things, and they're all each very commendable. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
I do want to get to the work you've done in the Army and your experience at West Point. But first, I want to talk about engineering a little bit, because I know that is something you have a little bit of experience with, and I just think that's an interesting topic, especially for women.
Yes.
So what I want to ask is, why did you go into engineering at the beginning?
I think it was my love for math and science. I still have a love for math and science, and that propelled me to go that way. And in West Point, everybody graduates with an engineering degree, so it's just a matter of what type of engineering you want to do.
Okay, right.
Because you're going to graduate with an engineering degree.
Right. And what kind of engineering did you go into specifically?
I went into systems engineering, which basically deals with, bettering systems, shorter queue lines, the best way to manage things and get things done efficiently.
Right, absolutely. Okay, awesome. And just on that note, because, I mean, statistically, engineering, there's a low, women are represented as a low percentage of engineers. And in the National Science Foundation, they give you some percents, and it says that 13% of engineers are female, and computer and mathematical science, 25% are female. And so my question for you is, what is it like being a part of that statistic, since women are such a low percent of that, population? And then are you treated any differently as a woman in that field?
I think with most of the fields that I've been in, I've been, the low percentage in that field, whether it be being an Army officer, whether it be engineering, whether it be just my love of math science. You don't find that many females, like you mentioned, in those fields. And it's always challenging. But I always see myself as a trailblazer in it, paving the way for those and hopefully making it just a little bit easier for anybody who comes after me. I think you do spend a lot of time proving yourself, and you don't do that through, standing on a mountaintop screaming that I can do this too. It definitely has to be through consistent actions and through allowing people to see that you can do the job and you can do it just as well.
Right.
But again, that's not you telling them that. That's them being able to see that through your actions and through your work. I do agree. I mean, I know I've just said before that you have to be 110 times better. And it's true. You do have to work harder, I think, than a male counterpart would, because it's expected that you will fail. So when you're dealing with that on a daily basis and you know that that's the expectation and you're trying to change that, you have to consistently show, I'm not going to.
Right. Do you ever feel, or did you ever feel like you would come across people who doubted your ability to perform? And if so, how did you overcome their lack of faith in you?
Always. Whether it was attending West Point, whether it was the first time I said I wanted to go when I was in third grade, and, the teacher said, oh, okay, that's nice.
Right.
It really wasn't, oh, let me help you and show you how you can get there. It was like, okay, nobody from here has ever gone, and you're female.
So you knew from third grade that you wanted to go to West Point?
I did. My dad had planted the seed, and I wanted to go. In fact, when I was a senior, it was the only school I applied to.
Oh, my goodness. That's awesome.
Which was crazy now that I look back on it.
It's funny
but
because...
I definitely was determined to go. In ninth grade, I had called the school, and they said, well, it's a little early for you to be, trying to get in already. I said, okay, but they sent me all this information, so I had to fall over my wall when I was in high school. And basically, I used it as a checkoff block. It said they gave extra points if you were on the student council. So I was president of the student council. Extra points if you're captain of a team. I was captain of the soccer team and all state in soccer for 2 years. So I definitely just went down block by block for what they were looking for to ensure that I had all three of those pillars, because they don't just look for academics. You have to be more well-rounded than that.
Right.
So you have to have the community service, the academics, as well as the physical.
Right.
So, and the same thing goes with, like you were saying, in engineering, that you then as a woman, any field that you're that trailblazer in, there's going to be doubt. There's always going to be somebody who says you can't do it because they're just not used to seeing it done. And so in order to change that, and so in order to get more people in, somebody's got to be willing to be that trailblazer and go first and take that harsh criticism, but not just, bend and fold under it, but be willing to say, I'm still going to be here and I'm still going to do this. I'm just going to continue to do this every day. Am I going to get everything right? Not at all, because nobody does.
Right.
But I'm still here and I'm still going to keep trying.
Absolutely. Sound committed. Do you feel that you had any advantages as a woman?
That had me what?
Any advantages? Like, do you feel like being a woman helped you in any way?
Whether it be through engineering, like in your work as an engineer, or at West Point too.
Right. Well, I mean, personally, I think girls rock, but but I don't think I had any advantages in being a woman over being a man. I think it was just, I think it was harder because you were a woman in a male-dominated field.
Right.
Whether it was, like I said, going to West Point, whether it was in engineering, whether it was in the Army, especially leading troops, especially when you're putting your life on the line. They have to trust and understand that you still have their best interests at heart, that you're not going to nurture them the way their mothers did, even though you're a female. But at the same time, you don't want to completely lose your identity either. You don't want to spend so much time trying to be like the guys that you're no longer a female, that you're no longer a woman, because being a woman is a great thing.
Right,
so
absolutely.
You want to ensure that you bring those qualities to it too, although but you have to bring them in such a way that they don't see them as more of a hindrance, but more of an asset.
Absolutely. All right, well, please stay tuned, everyone. After a short break, we will be continuing our conversation with Sakima. I'm Katie Krahulik, here with Erin Shanahan, and you're listening to Leading Ladies right here on WTBQ Radio.
All right now.
At Dawson Motors, there's no substitute for quality and customer care. Whether it's the vehicles they sell or the repair and maintenance service they provide, Dawson Motors is Warwick's oldest and largest independent dealership with an honest reputation for customer satisfaction. Their pre-owned vehicles are thoroughly inspected to ensure they meet their high-quality standards of safety and reliability. Their service bays are staffed by ASE-certified technicians trained and equipped to service today's vehicles. For sales and service, they make it easy. Customer-focused salespeople and a state-of-the-art service team dedicated to your complete satisfaction. Dawson Motors, old-fashioned service and modern technology. Stop by or call today at 845-986-8558 or visit them at 45 Oakland Avenue in Warwick or online at dawsonmotors.com.
This is for anyone who thinks calling hospice means giving up.
Dear Hospice, when I heard Mom's diagnosis, congestive heart failure, all I wanted to do was give up. I can't imagine what she was feeling. When I first heard hospice, I thought the same thing, but you wouldn't let us give up. You gave us a plan to make sure Mom didn't have to give up her Tuesday bridge game, playing with my kids, all the things she likes to do. And her spirits are so good, she's going to keep doing them for as long as she can.
A serious diagnosis doesn't mean you have to give up living the life you know. The sooner you call hospice, the sooner we can help. With a plan for living that includes emotional support, pain management, in-home care, anything you need to make the most of each moment. Call hospice. A plan for living.
Call Hospice of Orange and Sullivan today. Let us help to provide more moments of life. Call 561-6111 or go to hospiceoforange.com. Moments of life made possible by hospice.
It's time again for the annual June 10 party held on the Great Lawn at the Mount Alverno Center in Warwick. This year's event takes place on Saturday, June 4th. Come out for a wonderful dinner with live entertainment for dancing too. Tickets are only $75 per person. And both St. Anthony Community Hospital and the Warwick Valley Rotary Club benefit from the proceeds. Sponsorships are also available for the event, ranging from a wine sponsor to entertainment, tent, and gold and platinum sponsorships. All sponsorship packages include event tickets and placement in the June 10 Party Journal, which will reach 10,000 homes. All journal ads are 100% tax deductible. It's the event of the season, the 5th annual June 10 Party, Saturday, June 4th on the Great Lawn at the Mount Alverno Center in Warwick from 6 till 10 p.m. For more information on ticket purchase, call Cindy Vanderplatt at 845-544-3628.
Hi, this is Mary Ulrich with Cornell Cooperative Extension in Orange County, inviting you to join me and your Orange County farmers on Farm Talk every Wednesday at 12 noon, where you will learn everything agriculture on WTBQ, radio worth listening to.
That jazz. This is Frank Lowell. Tune in every Sunday morning at 9 and Sunday night at 11 for And All That Jazz on WTBQ. You'll hear music of every style. It's the most eclectic show on radio.
That jazz. WTBQ. Ain't I got you on the back foot? And you know I got you really good.
Hello and welcome back. This is Katie Krahulik hosting Leading Ladies here at WTBQ Radio. Erin Shanahan is here with us today, co-hosting, and on the line is our first guest, Sakima Brown. Hello, Sakima.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
So I just want to continue our conversation. We're going to get to the good stuff here, and what I want to talk about is your experience at West Point and in the Army. And so first, I would just like to talk about this one specific bullet on your resume, which is glaring, and it says United States Army Captain. Positions include intelligence officer, executive officer, maintenance supervisor, budget officer, purchasing agent, and logistics manager during my deployment to Iraq for 11 years. And that's just unbelievably impressive, and we have to talk about it. So firstly, I would just like to thank you for your service and commend you on all that you've achieved. That's unbelievably awesome.
Oh, thank you. It was my honor.
Thank you. And so what made you want to go into the Army?
Oh, it was definitely my dad. And everyone says, oh, was he in the military? No, he was never in the military.
Really?
I think maybe in a past life he should have been. But he planted that seed early through football games and parades. And it's interesting because after that, it was on a mission.
Right.
And I definitely wanted to go to West Point. Like I said earlier, I had wanted to go from third grade. I was in a cotillion when I was 16, and they asked me, so what are you going to do? And I'm going to go to West Point. And everybody said, oh, that's so nice. I got a lot of that along the way. Oh, that's so nice. It'll never happen.
Oh,
but,
my gosh.
you need a backup plan because it'll never happen. But
Proved me wrong.
But thank you for participating kind of thing.
Right.
So when I actually got in, it was the most exciting thing. I was the first one in my family to go to college. I was the first one in my hometown to ever get into West Point.
Wow.
Which is interesting because we're so close to it here in Poughkeepsie.
Right.
But no one else had ever gone. So that's another reason why they didn't think it was possible. So, but I can say since then, we've had 4 now. So granted, it's not huge, but that's a lot from my small hometown, the city of Poughkeepsie.
Right. Well, you're setting the precedent.
Exactly. And even in the history of West Point, as far as African-American females, there's only been, up until this year, 356 graduates. So to think about that over their entire almost 200-year history,
exactly.
I mean, and 40-year history of even having women in. So in 40 years, only 356 graduated, and I graduated in 98. So that's even almost 20 years ago.
Right.
So we were still in the beginning stages of even allowing females and African-American females into West Point, and then getting them from the point where they came in and graduated. Now, that being said, it's tough for everybody. I don't want you to think it's just tough for females. West Point is an elite college. I am proud to be called one of the long gray line after graduating from there, and it is tough across the board for everybody. But you come out of it with such a strong passion and commitment to your community and even your, entire country. And so you come out of there and you go into the military and you go in to lead. You know that's what you have to do. So there of course comes some challenges with that when here I am 5'2", telling these huge guys straight out of high school, 17 and 18, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
and there's no exceptions about it. And understanding what that means, that it, in all honesty, does mean in a situation like Iraq, life or death.
Absolutely.
So just the weight of that and understanding that the decisions that you make are not just for you.
Of course.
They then are for everyone, because no one wants to be that person that has to go tell that parent that their child didn't make it.
Right.
And no one wants to have to do that. But in all honesty, it happens, and it has to be done. And it's days like this weekend, Memorial Day, that we take the time to remember those that were lost and those that didn't make it and those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. And so that's why it's so important that we continue to remember them and continue to honor them. But definitely, as far as my ability to lead and ability to do that for 11 years, yes, I've been to Fort Bragg, and from Fort Bragg, I was stationed in Fort Bragg and ended up in Guatemala for 6 months. And then I was stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. From there, I went to Fort Lee in Virginia. And then from there, I went to Fort Riley in Kansas. And while in Kansas, is when I was stationed in Iraq. And I was assigned to an artillery unit, which at that time was not open to women like it is now.
Wow.
So although I wasn't in the unit, because at that time women couldn't be in the unit,
Right.
I was the logistical officer for that unit.
Okay.
So that means everyone else is male but you.
Right.
The good news is we have Dick Tanks. Right, but it's a lot of fun times too. I don't want you to think it's all work and all proving yourself every day. There's some great people along the way, and they are very encouraging as well. And they help to push you during those times when you feel like, what the heck am I doing?
Right.
So it's not just a one-man show. You definitely need the networking. You definitely need the support, and you definitely need someone in your corner to let you know it's going to be all right, and you're on the right path, and you're doing the right thing.
Right.
Sakima,
And
I have some questions about your time at West Point as a student.
Okay.
I understand that if you go to West Point, you need to participate in a varsity sport, right?
Correct.
So I know you said you played soccer in high school. Is that what you did while you were at West Point?
Well, you need to participate in a varsity sport before you get there, basically.
Oh, okay.
Because once you get there, it's a whole other level. Everybody graduated at the top of their class. Everybody graduated either valedictorian or salutatorian. Everybody was captain of a team because you had to be to get in.
Exactly.
So it's a whole nother level when everybody there was captain. So now, who's going to be captain of the captains?
Yeah,
Right.
wow.
It comes down to.
So actually, while I was in college, this is be interesting. I did powerlifting while I was in college.
Really?
Amazing.
Okay.
Yes, and so I did pretty well in it. I had never knew I would ever be interested in it until I got there, because up until that point it was all about soccer.
Right.
And so so I did powerlifting, and I ended up being ranked nationally while I was there.
Oh my
Won lots of trophies and stuff for that. Yeah. See, now you know the secret. I never talk about that.
That's so
Yes.
interesting.
now that I'm much older, it's like, what was I thinking?
Why did you
like
choose
deadlifts and cleans?
That's so impressive, though.
Why did you choose powerlifting? Why not soccer?
It's funny because I had a girlfriend of mine who was a roommate at the time, and she was into it even before she got to West Point. And I thought, oh, I'm never doing that. But then I went down to the soccer tryouts or whatever, didn't make it, was shocked, like, how the heck did this happen? Mm-hmm. And so she invited me. She's like, okay, if you go for no other reason but to blow off steam, come check this out. You might like it. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. It stuck.
Wow.
And so I ended up joining the powerlifting team, and it ended up being very successful.
Right. And I'm sure beneficial,
Oh, very, very. And it does blow off steam, lots of steam.
Yes, absolutely. Right.
Yes, definitely. You throw some weights around, you'll feel much better.
I believe it. So there's an amazing article in the New York Times, and it's called "The Women of West Point." And I was looking at it and reading some of the quotes. It's women who graduated recently, and so they were saying different things throughout the article, and some of their quotes just struck me, and I wanted to talk to you about them. And they were saying some of them were as follows. They would say, in high school, one of my teachers actually told me that I would never get into West Point, that it was too hard. And then another girl said, whenever I tell people I want to go into infantry, they laugh in my face. And the other said, I want to be better than the guys to prove that I belong here, and etc. So can you relate to these comments? Do they?
Oh, every single one of them.
Right.
It was interesting to see because I've seen that article as well. It was interesting to see that their comments now are still similar to the same thing. Like I said, I graduated in '98. That's almost 20 years ago, and their comments now are even still similar to the things that we experienced.
Right.
It bonds us. It makes them all my sisters. We just recently came off an Athena conference, which basically was all the women of West Point celebrating 40 years since they first started allowing women in 1976.
Right.
And those are the types of things that bonded us, knowing that when we got there, we had something to prove from day one and every day throughout. Just like I mentioned, my hometown, no one had ever come, no male or female, no one had ever gone to West Point. So every time I mentioned it, it was, oh, that's good, okay, that's really nice, but what are you really going to do? Like it was just that impossible.
Right.
And even once you get there, it's the same, like, oh, okay, well, you got in, let's see if you're still here in 4 years. So, and it's just, like I said, it's tough for everybody, but when you don't see anybody that looks like you don't feel like they can relate to what you're going through.
Right.
And so that makes it tough. And with 36 different companies and class sizes and year group classes of 1,000 each, you're talking 25 women in a class size of 1,000. It's rare and far in between you see them.
Right.
So, and when you do, it's a very happy occasion.
Right.
And so the guys don't want to hear about, it's my time of the month, or those are definitely not excuses you ever want to use.
Of course. Of course. Well, Sakima,
So,
earlier you said just...
You always have something to prove. You're always, and there's always doubters when you're blazing that trail and no one has come before you.
Absolutely. And congratulations to you on, making it and proving everyone wrong. And you said before, you see people like you who can do it, and you think you can do it. And that's why you're here speaking today. You're setting a great example, and you're a great role model for a lot of young women. So thank you so much for coming in today and speaking with us. It was a pleasure having you.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
And I commend you on everything you've accomplished and continue to. So thank you. Stay tuned, because up next I'll be speaking with Christine Little, another very impressive community role model. This has been Katie Krahulik and Erin Shanahan, and you're listening to Leading Ladies right here on WTBQ Radio.
GTI Enterprises, with the support of Joe Driscoll and Boxed Water, is proud to present the Burning Man Festival, an independent festival aimed at recruiting volunteers for the Get Out and Burn the Vote initiative. This Saturday, head to Vernon, New Jersey at Ricky Farm. Gates will open at 10 a.m. and live music will run from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Burning Man Festival promises to take audiences on a multi-genre journey that will feature lined up for Sanders live music all day, burn-a-stay yoga, and turn out for the Burnout BYOB cookout and campfire, and we encourage people to bring your own blankets, chairs, and coolers. Standard adult pass is $20. Burn-a-Maniac discount is $5, with proof of $15 donation to Bernie's campaign between May 21st and May 28th. So come on out to the Burning Man Festival, which kicks off in Vernon, New Jersey, May 28th and 29th, located at 442 Route 94 in Vernon, New Jersey. And that's on May 28th, with the camping option available. And for more information, please visit their website at burningmanfestival.com.
This is Dr. Calvin Hargis, and I want to tell you about Mike, a traumatic brain injury patient with no short-term memory, told he would never improve. Now, after 8 months of neurofeedback therapy, he can remember conversations he had days ago and take public transit into the city on his own. Or Betty, the post-stroke senior who had lost her mental clarity, who has now regained her razor-sharp mind and zest for life. Or Rose, affected by severe anxiety and depression, who is no longer on meds and no longer anxious or depressed. And the many children we have treated with ADHD who are off meds and now excelling in their grades and behavior. These changes result from a therapy that interacts directly with the brain to change abnormal brain function. Neurofeedback, recommended by the American Pediatric Association, is safe, permanent, and even fun. Call Warwick Brain and Spine Therapy at 845-986-5500 to arrange for your private consultation.
State Farm in the Clock Tower on Main Street in Warwick. One stop for all your business and personal insurance and financial services. Life, home, auto, disability, or business insurance, as well as banking and retirement planning. Call 986-7100 or come in and meet the team.
Hi, I'm Pat O'Dwyer. Join me on the Friday Roundtable for a provocative look at politics and the people in our Hudson Valley community on the Friday Roundtable at 9 a.m. on WTBQ.
Hi, this is Dr. David Leach, the superintendent of the Warwick Valley Central School District and host of Your Schools. Listen every Monday at 12 noon to learn what's happening in your schools right here on WTBQ, radio worth listening to.
WTBQ. Ain't I got you on the back foot? And you know I got you really good.
We are back. Hello and welcome to those who just tuned in. I'm Katie Krahulik, and I'm here with Erin Shanahan. You're listening to Leading Ladies, a women's talk show that features relatable, intelligent, compassionate, powerful, productive women of the 21st century. And our second guest, Christine Little, is here with us right now. How are you, Christine?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for coming. It's such a pleasure. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is you do?
I'm a nurse, And just in January, I actually jumped out of the traditional nursing role. It was kind of a big leap, a little scary. And I started working for an insurance company.
Oh, wow.
Which is a tremendous jump from being hands-on with the patients.
Absolutely.
And I actually just resigned from that job yesterday. So I'm about to jump off into a new adventure, which I'm going to keep a little hush for right now because I have a couple of different positions that have been offered to me, and I'm just kind of weighing my options right now.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's great. Well, going off of nursing, we'll start with that. During last week's show, we talked a little bit about the wage gap between male and female nurses, and we're just going to jump right into it here. Is that something that you're seeing to be true in your line of work, and what do you think about it?
I personally have not experienced that, but I have friends in the nursing world who have. And it certainly is discouraging. I think that all people should be paid based on their skills, the merit, the quality of the work. And it shouldn't matter whether you're male or female. I don't think that either one of us should have benefits over the other.
Right.
If you're doing a great job, you should be rewarded for that.
Absolutely. Right. So just now going back off what you said before, why did you decide to, switch gears a little bit with the nursing thing?
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed being a nurse. I graduated in 1990 and started working straight out of college. And it's truly been an honor to be a part of people's lives when they're at their worst.
Right.
I worked with adults in a medical intensive care unit, and then the vast majority of my career since then has been with children. I worked with children with cancer. I worked in the pediatric emergency room, the pediatric ICU, and then the last 12 years of hands-on nursing was as a school nurse. And that was truly a privilege to get to watch people in the community grow up, and so many of my former students are now young adults and they're thriving, and so that's been very rewarding. School nursing does not pay very well at all. And I did take that role so that I'm a single mom, and that job afforded me the opportunity to be home with my kids as much as possible. But it did not afford me the opportunity to put much into a retirement savings. So now that my children are thriving young adults, I decided it was time for me to take that leap and find something that pays a little better and challenges me in a different way. And
well, congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you.
There you go again, accomplishing more feats and pushing yourself, which is what this show's all about. So that's amazing. So just another thing I'd like to talk about, coming from a medical field, are there any sort of disadvantages or obstacles that you face, as a woman, not being taken seriously, or feeling like you can't be assertive, anything of that nature throughout your career?
Absolutely. Just as in any role, there's great nurses, bad nurses, great doctors, bad doctors, great administrators, bad administrators. And unfortunately, sometimes you do run into some large egos, and they'll tell you what you can't do.
Right.
Or if you're pointing something out that could be done in a better, more effective way, they shoot your ideas down.
Right.
And that is frustrating, but with age comes wisdom.
Right.
And you learn that there are ways to maneuver around those types of people in a graceful, polite, appropriate way.
Right.
And just assert yourself and have faith in yourself that you know what you're doing is correct, and keep going.
Right. Was there a time when you sort of realized, I'm above this, to step up to the plate, and that, what these people thought didn't matter, and that you were going to be assertive and you were going to push through?
Absolutely. And I'm trying to think of a specific example. A little hard to say the last 12 years, because I still see a lot of the people in the community that I might have had some assertive moments with. I can think of a time where I was confronted by a physician who was very tired after a very long shift, and I had pointed out some errors, but I possibly didn't use that word, and tried to, stroke his ego a little bit, and he did not want to accept what I was saying, and that patient's life was in my hands at that moment.
Right.
And I became very assertive for that patient.
Of course.
And I ended up having to go above and around him, which did not sit very well with him at all.
Right.
But in the long run, that patient was my responsibility, and I took the heat for that patient, and
Right.
I know that patient and their family were very grateful.
Right, absolutely.
So nursing is mostly a female-dominated area of work, but I do know that obviously there are male nurses. Have you noticed a difference between how female nurses and male nurses are treated in the workplace, or what's asked of male nurses versus female nurses?
Sure. Again, the last 12 years of my nursing career, I've pretty much been a solo practitioner. You're normally the only nurse in the school building. Some schools are
Right.
lucky to have more than one, but where I've been posted, I've been the only nurse in the building. When I was in the hospital-based setting, it was very rare to see male nurses, and they were not always welcomed. They were kind of breaking into that traditional female role, and so we kind of didn't know what to make of them.
Right.
But in my experience, they were phenomenal. Many of them now that are entering the nursing workforce are coming from a military background, and where they've
Interesting.
been medics. They've learned some incredible skills on the field. I think they're fantastic nurses, and I don't think that the term nurse anymore should conjure up the image of a female.
Right.
So I am proud to work with any male nurse who's going to pull their weight. I'm proud to work with any female nurse who's going to pull
Of
their weight.
course.
The rest can step aside.
Right, absolutely. So another thing that I wanted to bring up is something that's kind of been a bit of a controversy is, healthcare regulations and things that healthcare cover.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that's interesting is, for example, healthcare providers cover some things differently on men's end than they do for women's end. So they might cover, Viagra for men, but they don't necessarily cover tampons or pads or, menstrual products for women. So that's just something I was more curious about, and I wanted to know your opinion on the issue.
Sure. I personally don't think insurance should be covering for feminine hygiene products.
Okay.
It is part of human wellness in the female body to menstruate. And I think if we start passing laws for every single entire position in the human body, we could go on forever.
Right.
So if we're going to have insurance pay for feminine hygiene products, do we then have to have insurance pay for, say, a cup for male athletes, or,
Right.
athlete's foot cream for someone who's constantly in, sweaty sports socks or something
Right.
like that? So, however, I do feel that in the case of, you mentioned Viagra, for female alternative medications for similar purposes, yes, that should be covered. If you're going to cover for one, you should cover for the other. You get into the subject then of birth control pills.
Right. That's what I was
And
gonna say.
that is a very different issue as far as the Catholic Church and
Right.
and institutions or employers who have strong religious beliefs. And it's a sticky subject. I personally feel that government shouldn't force anyone to do something that is against their own personal beliefs. I know there's a small little band of nuns who are taking on the big government and the Supreme Court, and they've been holding their own. And I say more power to them, because
Right.
they're holding firm to their ideals and their beliefs, and they don't want to have things forced upon them that they don't believe in.
Right.
But for larger corporations, and certainly there are many different employers where you can get the health care that you need. There's so many options on the marketplace right now, so
Right.
no woman should be without.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, so thank you for that. Awesome. Well, don't go anywhere, everyone. We will be right back after this short commercial break. This is Katie Krahulik. I'm here with Erin Shanahan and Christine Little. Stay tuned with Leading Ladies right here on WTBQ Radio.
Have a problem with your computer? Need an upgrade or a boost to your computer speed? The Computer Guy offers sales, service, and repair at competitive rates for your business or home. The Computer Guy builds servers and workstations, sets up secure wireless connections, transfers data including system installation, remote access, and backup of your daily files. Trust the Computer Guy by calling 845-988-0708 or visit them at 14 West Street in Warwick.
Dental Arts of Orange County is the perfect blend of a spa with high-tech dentistry, all in one classic and stylish office right on Main Street in the Village of Florida. Choose Dental Arts of Orange County whether you are in need of regular dentistry, cosmetic dental options such as Invisalign to enhance your smile and your self-confidence, or you just want to turn back the hands or the face of time with cosmetic treatments such as Botox and Juvederm. Call now for a complimentary consultation at 651-4647. With over 26 years of experience and ongoing advanced training and technology, Dr. Batafalvi is the only dentist for you and your entire family for all your needs. The Spa and Dental Arts of Orange County is the place everyone is talking about for state-of-the-art advancements in both dentistry and cosmetic treatments. Call now for a complimentary consultation at 845-651-4647 and visit their offices at 14 North Main Street in the Village of Florida.
Hi, I'm Steve Bellner, professional real estate photographer. With over 90% of home buyers searching the internet for properties, professional photos are essential for a successful online marketing campaign. In fact, houses listed with professional photos sell quicker and for more money. Please call me at 845-244-1660 or visit my website, qualityrealestatephotography.com. Sold is just a click away.
This is Sister Anna. Listen to The Garden of the Child, a story discussion time with students. Story develops listening skills and imagination. Saturdays at 11:10 a.m. on WTBQ.
Hi, it's Tom Fursey. Join me for the music and memories of the 1980s on The Magic of the 80s, Saturday afternoons at 2 on WTBQ and WTBQ.com.
Magic of the 80s. WTBQ. Ain't I got you on the back foot? And you know I got you really good.
Hello again. We have Christine Little here with us today talking about her perspective as a woman in the medical field. And so hello, Christine.
Good morning again.
Good morning again to you. So since it's in the light of Memorial Day, I want to talk about your work with Honor Flight and what that is exactly and the work that you do for veterans in the community.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for asking about that. I love my Honor Flight family. Honor Flight is a national organization that has many, many different local hubs, and our hub is called Hudson Valley Honor Flight.
Right.
And I have been on 10 of their 12 flights.
Wow.
This fall, we will be serving our 1,000th veteran, and we bring World War II and Korean War veterans down to Washington, D.C. to see their monuments and give them a day of honor. Give them the welcome home that they never got to experience when they came home from the wars.
Right.
These men and women, because we've taken many female veterans.
Of course.
We had a female Marine. She was 103 years old.
Wow.
And when we got down to D.C., she was a rock star. There were so many Marines that were waiting just to see her, take pictures, shake her hand, give her a hug.
Oh,
she was
amazing.
absolutely incredible. And there's so many men and women just like her. Truly, truly, truly the greatest generation. Their perseverance, their dedication, their humble, proud spirits. It's an honor to work with them.
Right. That's amazing. Good for you and good for them. And, send them our thanks for their work and serving.
Absolutely. And especially on this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, I think about all the men and women who have perished fighting for our freedom.
Right.
I'd like to also just give a quick shout out to
Absolutely.
Roger and Cindy Vanderplatte of the Lazier Smith Vanderplatte Funeral Home. As I passed by on my way here this morning, they were out with some volunteers putting out flags in honor of every veteran from the town of Warwick. And if you've never seen their front lawn in front of that funeral home, please come by the Memorial Day Parade on Monday. It's a beautiful sight.
Right.
awesome.
It is
I
beautiful.
thank them for recognizing those folks.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. So I just want to shift gears again a little bit here. And I know that you've done some political work.
I have.
And I'd like to talk about that for a bit. Can you talk about, your involvement with politics?
Sure. I have always kind of been a news junkie. And in college, my friends would be fighting for the remote control. They'd want to have MTV on, and I wanted the news on.
Right.
And I don't really know where it came from. No one in my family is very politically involved. And several years ago, I had a politician knock on my door. He was doing door to door. And I kind of grilled him. And he said, "Can I have my campaign manager get in touch with you?" I think it was more of an attempt to get rid of me than anything else.
Right.
And so I never really believed that the campaign manager would actually reach out, and he did. That was John Hicks,
Okay.
a dear friend. And I used to tease him that his last name shouldn't be Hicks, but Hoover, like the vacuum machine, because he sucked me into the world of politics, and I've been spinning in that cyclone ever since. And it is been quite an adventure, and I love finding fantastic leaders who are going to represent our communities well, and I fight to get them into those great positions.
Right, absolutely. For those of you who don't know, Christine Little was the campaign manager for my mother, Christine Krahulik, when she was running for family court judge. And so I want to talk about that process a little bit, because I know that, being a woman had a lot to do with the way that campaign and that election, worked. And so my question is, what sort of obstacles did being a woman have in that area of work and in that process?
Absolutely. There were certainly obstacles. While there are some strong leading ladies in politics in Orange County, as with most areas, I think, across the country, politics tends to be dominated by male figures. And so we were two single moms on a mission. When your mom first asked me to be campaign manager, I kind of said no at the beginning. I said, "You don't want me. I've never done this before. I've never been a campaign manager." And we met and we discussed a lot of things, and we realized we were of the same mindset. And having been through family court myself, I wanted to have someone in that position who was going to fulfill all the needs of those families in distress. And your mom has every one of the qualities and skills that was needed, and she's doing a great job. But going around the county, we did certainly face obstacles. There is, there's always siding with, there's power struggles everywhere.
Right.
And we did face some of those power struggles, but our mission was to work hard, laugh harder, run a very positive, clean campaign. And that resonated all across the county. Wherever we went, they knew that your mom was genuine, articulate, intelligent, dedicated. Her years of volunteerism throughout Orange County proved that she was well suited to be in the seat that she's in right now.
Right, and she could not have done it without you, of course.
Well, it was truly my pleasure to help her. She didn't need any managing. I always say that to her. She didn't need managing.
Right.
I was just kind of along for the ride, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
Right. Well, with a female candidate and a female campaign manager, how do you think that combo played into the results of the election? Is that telling of women's capability to lead at all?
Absolutely. And we both had full-time jobs. We both have 2 children. So we were struggling to balance all the needs of running a campaign with keeping our homes going and still functioning at work. And it was definitely hard at times, without a doubt. We'd be tired. But when you set your eye on a well-purposed goal, nothing can stop you. And when women work together, because so frequently women do not work well together, they challenge each other. There's cattiness. But your mother and I both agreed that we're just going to keep our eye on the prize and keep working towards it. And we did. So while I don't necessarily consider myself a role model, I would hope that people can learn from that example that you really can do anything that you set your mind to.
Absolutely. Well, you absolutely are a role model, so
thank you.
Most definitely. And speaking of which, you mentioned that you have 2 kids, and what I want to know is, how do you juggle it all, being a single mother, having a family, and then also, staying on top of your career?
Well, I am blessed with 2 wonderful children. Another shout out to Liam and Molly. They are great kids. We have certainly gone through some struggles together. Being a single mom is not always the easiest thing in the world, and being the children of a single mom is not always the easiest thing in the world. But from the time they were little, I tried to raise my children to be independent. I was having them make their own lunches when they were little.
Right.
If they forgot their homework, and I remember having to teach one of my children this lesson when they were young, If they forgot it, I'm not going to bring that into you. And they very quickly realized they weren't going to get that saving ride back to school. And so they learned to be organized and independent and responsible for their own behavior and actions. And so when your mom did ask me to commit to the campaign, I actually had a family meeting with the 2 kids, and I said, it's going to be a grueling year, and I'm not going to be home a lot. Do you guys feel comfortable with that? They know how to cook dinner and take care of themselves. And most of the time they were studying anyway, so it's not like they were missing out on too much mom time. They're teenagers. They don't want to be around me. And so because of the wonderful young man and woman that they are, I was able to help your mom with that and to pursue some of my own goals.
Right.
It's definitely a balance. You have to pick and choose, and sometimes we fall short. And we're all human. We make mistakes.
Right.
There are failures, but I have always tried to learn from those mistakes.
Absolutely. I want to talk about your daughter Molly for a little bit, who is a lovely, mature young woman with a great head on her shoulders, and she is destined for greatness. She's obviously following in her mother's footsteps toward great success. But given everything you know about the nature of work and the role women play in society, how has that impacted the way that you raised your daughter?
Well, again, I try and treat everyone as equals. I don't feel that we should have any special preference towards one gender or another.
Right.
If you are able to function in a role, go for it. Molly is very, very interested in science, and science has typically been a very male-dominated universe.
Yes.
With the upcoming STEM academies that are sprouting up all over the country,
Right, those are great.
more and more young ladies are being given the opportunity to explore the science universe. And she absolutely loves learning. She loves learning in general, but she really loves science. She has a very tough teacher this year, but she really adores her. That is Mrs. Smith at Warwick Valley High School.
Listen, I had Mrs. Smith, and she was one of the best teachers I ever had.
And she is tough, but Molly has learned so much from her, and they have a great, great relationship together. Molly is actually her lab assistant and will be her teaching assistant next year, her senior year.
Good for Molly.
And
That's awesome.
she really, truly enjoys that special bond that they formed.
Right.
As well as all the great knowledge that she's getting from Mrs. Smith, because Mrs. Smith is a genius.
She is.
Is she specifically interested in chemistry?
Right now, her focus is kind of on chemistry, but next year she's taking AP Bio, so I have a funny feeling she might do a little switch then, because there's definitely some amazing stuff going on in the world of biology at this point. So maybe she'll combine the two and go into some kind of biochem field.
Great field.
Absolutely.
Right, absolutely. And, having you as a mother and as a role model, I'm sure helps her get to where she would like to be in life. Do you have any final comments or advice that you'd like to give to Molly and other young women with ambitious goals?
Be yourself. Do not get set in a box or a mold that other people have cast for you. Always reach for the stars. It sounds cliche, but it really is true. I have worked with thousands of young people throughout my nursing career, and some young folks who have not been blessed with good home lives and good learning opportunities, they pick a goal, and no matter what their struggles are, they have found their way through those struggles. So anyone can achieve what they put their hearts and minds to.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Christine, for taking the time to speak to us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are out of time today, but join us again next Saturday at 9 a.m. as I sit down with some more amazing women to talk about the work they are doing. And thank you, Erin, for coming in too.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
This has been Katie Krahulik and Erin Shanahan, and you've been listening to Leading Ladies right here on WTBQ Radio.
Celebrating 21 years playing the best music.
WTBQ, Warwick, Florida.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Riot police moving in.